going to start working on the soffit, which is the ceiling essentially here. It's going to run long ways. It's the similar boards as the siding, but it's completely planed so that it's totally smooth. So it's going to run the long ways. So all these pieces are okay. They can be supported. The issue is on the edges here, where it'll be running this way and it'll have support for each one of the joists. But then when it gets to the corner, it does not have a support. So I put a 2x4 in here, just nailed it equal to or parallel to the one that's already there, so that when the board comes here, it's going to have something then to nail to. This side, I did the same thing, except it was a lot more because you have to do individual side soffit support is what they call it. I start working on this side so you can see the difference here. Go underneath, where you can see the soffit support is on this one. So it's going to span from this edge. There's an outside beam or joist kind of, so that has a support that it can run this way, but there's none there. So you can see I did. So the way it runs is long pieces, and then there'll be like maybe a little cutout or so, and then it transitions to small pieces all the way down. Same on both sides, and then once it gets down to the other side, then it'll turn back into full length. And then on the inside there'll be separate pieces because of the beam divided here. So I'm gonna have to, when I get over here, line them up so that they're parallel. And I decided to stain them all, well, as much as I can right now. I'm doing like half the time while they're on the ground, instead of trying to do it in the ceiling. And what I actually did was sand it with 220 grit, some places 180 if you need a little extra, but sand it, dry it off, and then apply this wood conditioner. Just because I tested it out a couple times, I'm just using this Minwax. It's water-based because the stain I'm using is water-based as well. So put that on, and instructions say leave it on for about 5 to 10 minutes and wipe off any excess. I didn't have too much issue with the excess. And sand it down again with 220 to get rid of any of the bumps. Because that's what you're really trying to do, is raise the grain. Because it's really, if you don't condition, you'll get really blotchy stain. So I did that again, sand it down with 220 and then stain it. I can show you what's been installed so far. So you can see right here, and then I put in the recessed lights. So it came out pretty good. I have some pieces right here that I had to rip, and actually rip it here, but then leave it run around the corner. Again, I'm gonna stain the rest of this later on, but there's a lot to do that's dependent on the ceiling or the soffit beam. So I started staining. It's wet here, so it looks bad, but started staining the fascia here, since this had to go up while it was being built. We're also trying to decide the color, so it's a little pokey. You don't need to watch me paint, but you have to get kind of up under the drip edge here. You have to get all the way up there, but enough so anything that drips down. The edge of the fascia, underneath this top fascia, this fascia, the edge of the fascia here, and then the inside. If you see, here's the soffit, which has already been stained as well. Because there's going to be a 3/4 inch block here, and then there's like 1/2 inch, I think, left here, maybe 1/4 inch or so. So you really don't need to stain much. Or the fascia. The soffit's going to keep going in here. I just wanted to, like I said, finish the staining. So you can see this has all been done up here. It's still a little bit wet and drying. But it looks much better over on this side. That's actually dried. This is the stain I'm using. It's water-based. I've used it before, so I like it just because I know how to use it. So this is the Kona Brown Olympic Elite. It's a transparent, and I've actually ended up, maybe not recommend doing this, but I did a lot of testing, mixing it with this transparent American Chestnut. So it's the same brand, but again, one's semi-transparent, the other one's transparent. Spent a lot of time, trying it out, just trying to get the right color, because the American Chestnut was too dark. The Kona, a lot of the their stains are transparent, were very red, but so mixed in between, give a nice brown with a slightly reddish tone to it. So did a couple of the outside soffit, and then ceiling, whatever you want to call it. And I'm going to start working on the inside. So you see there's so what you have to try to do, not try to, what you have to do is make sure the lines line up as they go inside. Obviously it's not going to be continuous, you can't see it, but as you look at it visually, you'll notice it. So what you need to do is take right where the beam there meets that soffit, is to take that length and then rip this the lengthwise with the table saw, so that when you put it up there, it'll then line up, and so they all line up. You know, it also needs to be cut to size. It's only these I think are like 105 inches or so, and I only need like a 100, I think it's 104. Anyways, I had the mark here, so you just cut off 4 inches or so. So there's plenty of room to cut off the lengthwise, but then also need to rip it. I think I'm going to test fit this up here. I'm also going to make a mark here for the joist, just so I know where to put the box, and then mark on the other side just so I can make sure it's like lined up as I expected it. Alright, so it seems to be fitting. I give it a 1/4 inch gap, so that I could have about an 1/8 of an inch on either side. So I'll have to sit here and fight with it. So, cut this one the length, so this one should go up a little bit easier. But I did notice it has a little bit of a bow to it. So I'm going to have to, it's hard when it's on this one, it's bowed out this way. You can hit the middle and bend the sides, but if it's in the middle, you're going to have to kind of work from the side, both sides, and then bend the middle in a little bit. It's pretty slight, but it's one of the first rows. We should straight, and everything else after it will be a struggle. So I need to bend it in, but I don't have any way. It's actually pretty strong enough where it's hard to bend it. So I need to try and find some way be able to get some leverage on it. So I'm gonna try to just use the clamp here. You can see, you should be able to see it here on. It's planed, or both sides are supposed to be planed, but this one is plain, but it got just marks in it. Must be the spiral sander planer, what it is, so it needs to be sanded down. So I'm using the Rotex sander, the 5-inch. Start off with 120, and then just to get this down smooth enough, and then 220. And then I, as I've done before, is use the wood conditioner to make the stain when it goes on, not so blotchy. Sand it down with 220 again, and then stain it. And then using the CT15 as the dust collection. I'm outside, but it just helps just to keep it all off. So. So as the soffit, I'm now turning the corner, or basically continuing around the outside. So I had to cut this piece, angled there, and then this meets up. I can't run the full span. It's hard to see. There's a joint right there. Straighten it out a little bit. So then it comes and it meets here. And so to do a little adjusting, just because running all of these small pieces got out square a little bit, so just adjust there and then slowly transition. I'm just gonna finish. So I was just making sure that there's a square line all the way down.